Hey y'all. Happy Friday. Happy preparation for your Sabbath. It's the weekend, baby. Anyway, you guys know on Fridays, I like to give you guys something to do that's going to help you prosper in your future or your near future to come. And earlier I read my short from Mark chapter 6, verse 4. KJV version reads as follows. But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. You guys, this is a great mystery. The assignment is to move around and move forward from your country or to another city to be held with honor. Because of those whom you grew up with during your youth and even your own kin can only hold an unbelief of you, being that they can only perceive you as the old person that they knew before. And because they don't honor the new person that you've become, one can do much mighty works for the Father in their own country. So the assignment of this great mystery is, if you want to perform much mighty works for the Father, move around. You guys, so for this weekend, I want you guys to contemplate on, the works that you're trying to do for the Father, right? If you're being honored, or if those looking at you like, oh my goodness, who they think they are, right? We knew that person. They ain't nothing. They ain't around here, trying to be holy moly. And we know them. We knew them, how they was, right? And that's only because they perceive you how you used to be, right? Just like the Messiah, right? Remember when he was around, it was the gospel, maybe the Gospel of John, okay? When he was around the Pharisees and stuff, and Sadducees, and he was telling them that he was the son, of God. They was telling him, oh no, we know your mother was Mary, and your father was Joseph, and your brothers James and all them. We already knew you, so you can't be telling us that you're the son of God when we knew who you were when you were younger. But they did not want to perceive that he had been learning everything from the Father himself, right? To come and teach them the right way. But because they perceived him, as they knew who he was when they was a youth and grew up with him, they just assumed, no, we cannot embrace him as being the son, of the Father when we know your mother and your dad. We know your mother Mary and your dad Joseph and your brother James. Maybe his brother, another brother name was Andrew. So because they knew him coming from this family, there was no way that they was going to perceive as the Father as being a teacher and being a son of the Father. There wasn't no way they were going to perceive Christ being the son of the Father. So it's the same thing with us, right? So a minute, so what did Christ have to do? He had to move around, right? Because they was holding him back. So he couldn't perform, a lot of mighty works in his own country. He was only able to heal a few of the sick, but he couldn't do much because he wasn't being held without honor because they want to embrace. They want to embrace his, divine message that he had, right? And even though he tried to prove them over and over again that he come from the Father, they would not believe it because they knew him during his youth. And they wouldn't believe that old person they knew became a new person. And they didn't believe that he had become learned of the Father, right? And it's the same thing as us, right? When you're trying to perform mighty works for the Father, it's not easy to do in your own country or your own city, right? You got to move around because you don't be held with honor in your own country or your own city or your own kin and even your own house. Because they dare not to believe that you became a new person, that you renewed and you regenerated, right? And now you become this new person to lead and teach for the Father. But because they remember you as being maybe a con artist, a thief, or, maybe being a conniver, maybe being a charmer, maybe being a lover, maybe being your hustler, a hustler, whatever the case may be, they still perceive those thoughts of you in their mind during their youth. They dare not to comprehend that you have grown, right? You have learned, right? And you have transformed and you have renewed yourself so that you can teach them and lead them to go down the right path, right? So for this weekend, I want you guys to contemplate, and ask yourself, are my works being honored that I'm trying to perform for the Father, right? Am I being honored in my own country or my own people that I grew up with? Or are they looking at me, to make me feel that, they don't believe nothing I said because they knew who you was before, right? Ask yourself, all the works that you're putting forth in your own country or your own city, is it being honored, right? Or are you being held without honor because they perceive you as the old person they knew during your youth? So therefore, they can't comprehend that you've learned, and you've unlearned the things that you grew up, because the Father said, okay, now we make, kiddie decisions, but when we get older, we should be making mature decisions. And when you get older, you should be able to throw away, the milk and then receive the bones. Now, because you became this renewed person, this regenerated person for the Father, they dare not to comprehend it, but instead they want to bash you and say all kind of evil things against your name, because they only perceive you when you was the old person they knew before. So again, in Mark chapter 6, verse 4, KJV version reads as follows. Remember, but Jesus said unto them, okay, a prophet is not without honor, but in their own country and among his own kin and in his own house. You guys, this is a great mystery. This is a great mystery. And the assignment is to move forward from your country or to another city to be held with honor, because of those whom you grew up with during your youth, and even your own kin can only hold an unbelief of you, being that they can only perceive you as the old person they knew before, because they don't honor the new person that you've become. And because of this, one can't do much mighty works for the Father in their own country. So the assignment of this great mystery is, if you want to perform much mighty works for the Father, then you must move around. So again, for this weekend, ask yourself, the mighty works that you're trying to perform for the Father in your own country, is it being honored, or are you being shunned upon? Are they like, they're not trying to hear you? They know who you are, right? They don't see the new you. They don't see the new regenerated you, right? Because all they perceive is the person that you used to be when they grew up with you during their youth, right? But now that you done learned, right, and became educated and became knowledgeable and gained wisdom from the Father, they dare not to understand, right, and embrace you, right, and allow you to teach them so they can be led down the narrow path and the right path, right? That so you can teach them that now, because you become that sheep, you can teach them to become sheep, right? But because of their own perceived of their mindsets, the same mindsets they had, perceiving you when they knew you as a youth and what you guys did and how y'all ran together, they're still perceiving that about you, right? Not taking the time to consider all the things you have done to change, to become renewed and regenerated, right? So that you can help lead them down a narrow path, that you can edify them and teach them what they need to do to become sheep of the Father, right? Through Christ. So again, for this weekend, I want you guys to contemplate and think about all the work you're trying to perform for the Father, and if you're being shunned upon by those very people that you knew growing up. And if that's the case, you need to think to yourself that you can't be a prophet and you can't be honored and you can't perform much mighty works in your own country, because those who you grown up with, even your kin, even those of your own household, it's not going to honor you, because they can't honor you because they still have that thought in their mind that you somebody else before you became renewed. All right, so again, the assignment of this great mystery is, if you want to be a prophet or of honor, move forward from your old country to a new country to perform God's mighty works, right? Again, and the assignment of this great mystery is, if you want to perform much mighty works for the Father, move around. Because again, as Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and his own house, right? So he's telling you, you cannot be held in honor in your own country, around your own people and in your own house, because they dare not to honor the person you become, right? And Jesus went through that, remember, with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, right? They would not believe that he was the Son of God, right? Because all they could think about is how his mom was Mary and his father was Joseph and his brothers James and was it not, and maybe Andrew, well, James and it could have been Andrew, but he had two brothers, okay? And they would not believe it, because they like, no, we didn't grow up. You didn't grow up with him, so no, he can't be telling us that he's Christ and he's Son of God now, because we knew him doing his youth. So now he was trying to perpetrate and be like he this savior. They did not want to embrace it, right? They didn't want to comprehend it, right? But he still made it known. But what he did was, remember, he had to move around to other countries to perform great works, because in his own country, he was not able to perform much mighty works. He was only able to heal a few sick, right? But they called it blasphemy, and they wanted to punish him for it, right? They wanted to kill him for it. So what he had to do, the Messiah had to move around from his own country and go to another country or go to another city to perform mighty works for his Father. So again, for this week, I want you guys to ask yourself, those mighty works that you try to perform for the Father, are you being held in honor for them, or are you being shunned upon for the very people that you knew growing up during your youth? All right, you guys, happy Friday. Love you guys. Peace. Bye now.